The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello from the past.
Oh, and the future.
And the future.
And the present.
And the present.
Weird.
Yeah.
This is Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And thanks for tuning in, guys. All listeners, new, old, whatever. We appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
This is episode 15. What is the topic?
This is time.
Time.
This is interesting.
This is an elusive one.
I see what you did there. This is a complicated one for me. So you're going to have to take the reins on this one because I'll just sit here half the time with my mouth open like,
Yeah, you can get deep
very.
philosophy chattering with this one, but let's give it a crack.
Yeah.
But before we do, last week, anything else?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give a little update from last week on our episode with aliens about the Area 51 situation in general, because we didn't have much information at that time.
Right.
So now it's come out. We did say that the event creator's name is Matty Roberts, and he lives in Bakersfield, California. He is an engineering student, and he created this as a joke. But now that it's gotten what it is,
right,
he's trying to make it a festival. But you know what? That's cool, though. Like
it is, but
what if-
Maddie's backtracking a little bit,
Well, yeah.
I think. It's
but
okay.
But what about if this is like the next Woodstock? Because he wants to do like art and music and all this like education. So it should be interesting. I hope that that's what happens with it.
We
I
already
really
have
do.
those. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything against it. And there's Burning Man is already in
Well, okay,
Nevada
but still.
on government land, ironically.
Yeah.
So to have another festival so close to where one already exists, I think he's just backtracking
Well, sure.
to try to save his rear, and I get it. But
But
way to
it's a
go,
good
Maddie.
idea.
You really stirred some poop up there.
And I'm rooting for you, Maddie, even if Danny's not. I'm rooting that this is going to be an amazing festival.
I
Because
hope
YOLO,
it's a
Maddie
festival.
Roberts, okay? YOLO.
Yeah, I hope it's a festival.
Yeah.
But yeah, YOLO, go for it, man.
So, yeah, that's my update on aliens. We did have some good feedback of just like, well, that, kind of made me think a little bit more that there's other things out there. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about
too.
it. Yeah.
I love that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But
It's always fun to talk about.
cool.
Yeah. And then I always like to read when I have response to one of my readings because these really touch me. And I just want people to understand how much this can help in their grieving process as far as the medium work
I think
I
you
do.
should share some more of those,
Yeah.
just so people can hear the other people's responses. Go ahead.
This one really touched me. This is from a lady that I did a reading for whose dog passed away. And she said, "Hi, Samantha. I just thought of letting you know that it has been 3 weeks since I spoke to you, and I didn't cry helplessly a single day." She was so distraught when we first talked. She could not stop crying. It was just awful.
I'm sorry.
And then she says, "I mean, it's not like I'm not sad. I am sad. I'm thinking of her 24/7, see her in my dreams every day, but I'm moving on with my days. I just wanted you to know that, and I am so grateful for you for that. Also, I don't know if this means anything or what, but 3 days after I spoke to you, I saw a clear, glowing white light-like thing on top of her grave. I checked all possibilities of it being something else but couldn't, and for a good 4 minutes or so it was there, and I thought of you, and thank you for helping me communicate with her. She clearly showed herself to me like I asked her to."
That's awesome.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Oh, I love the grief.
Thank you for
from
sharing,
yes,
whoever that was.
I would like to keep them confidential. The grief that comes with that can last for so long that if you can get help like this at the beginning, whether it's a medium or therapy or just somebody to talk to, it really does help to heal and make the grieving process easier. And that's my goal, really. That's my goal.
It's talking because they have to communicate to you that they want to communicate. So
Right.
it's all communication.
Exactly. So thank you for that. I really appreciate those.
That was
those
nice
types of
feedback.
Yeah.
Good job, babe.
Yeah, thank you. So that's what I got for the recap for this week.
Awesome. Well, if that's all, shall we go ahead and get into 15?
Let's do it. Episode 15, time.
Time.
So what is the definition of time?
Let's hear it.
Time is the indefinite continued progress of existence and events that occur in an irreversible succession from the past through the present to the future. That's the actual definition. Okay. So that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the possibility of it being deeper than that, of it being...
Yeah.
What's the words I'm looking for?
Well, we all know that what time is in essence.
Right.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have to talk about one in order to talk about the other.
Yes.
Okay. So we know that clocks didn't hang on the wall since the dawn of time.
No.
All right. When dinosaurs and man actually did overlap a little bit, there weren't clocks.
No.
Okay. I think the main way to tell time was the sun.
Yeah.
Going up and down, and that's hence sundials.
Right.
That was the first, I think, step in trying to determine points of the day or time. And then the introduction to the clock. This is simply man-made.
Right.
For us to know that, okay, we need to be here at that time, doing this at that time, and then we've got to be there for that at that time.
On this day,
on this day.
year, yeah.
Right. Society and the world didn't function like that.
No.
And I think the time kind of came into play when money came into play.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Currency.
Yeah.
Because you've heard the phrase, time is money.
That's true.
Money is time.
Yep.
Both things man-made. And I think both things, on some essence, really interrupt our society.
Oh, yes.
In
Very much.
big ways.
Yes.
So, but if we talk more about the elusive time, we shared this earlier in another episode about how, I think we talked a little bit about this, how time seems when you're really frustrated or bored or, time seems to go really slow.
It does.
And then when you're having the time of your life and you're really excited and you're doing something you really love, time seems to go really fast.
It does.
And this is for a general amount of the world's population, I would say, get this feeling.
Well, and then we say things like, I use this sometimes for when my mom passed, that it feels like it was yesterday, but it also feels like it was forever ago. How does that work? Where it's like...
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
I know.
Too. But I would say just in essence, that feeling of time slowing up and slowing down and speeding up really is occurring.
Yes.
However, you cannot compare it to the clock on the wall.
No.
Because we have to remember that's man-made. But that experience, that instinctual feeling that all of us get, that is true.
It is.
And if it was just happening to one or two people on the planet, then I could see a very good argument. Another one, which is something that a lot of human beings experience, is deja vu.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
And we'll discuss that a little bit. But again, a common thing that all humans experience that have some sense of time to it, but there is no time that's relevant to it.
And at this point, there is no real 100% definition or of what deja vu is. We don't really know. We have theories, but we don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll get into that.
I think there's other beings, many places in the universe that do not. I think we're the only planet that does this, that does not live their life, I guess, always thinking about time, always looking at the end.
Right.
When is this over and when am I going to die?
Right.
And it's not like that. It's much more of a connection to the universe itself or to their world, which is a part of the universe, which is a part of God, which is, all is one is all kind of there. That's how they live, I believe.
Right.
And so they're not concerned about time as much as, they know they have daylight and they know they have nighttime.
Right.
If that's what happens in their universe or dimension or world or whatever.
Right. we talk a lot about how we want things to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
We're very impatient.
Yep.
And one of the reasons that we say that is because we're running out of time.
We've put something on the wall to base
Right.
how much time has either gone by or not gone by.
Right.
And that, I think, interferes with our
our
psychological capabilities when we're being productive in life.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, because there's a lot of people that think like, I'm too old for this and I'm too old for that. And you never are. You're never too old, because something could change your life so drastically. You can't let time stop you.
No.
You know, it's hard. It's very hard to just sit back and let what's going to happen and not think about, I'm running out of time. I want to have enough time in my life to do all the things I want to do.
Right.
Those are things I'm trying to put out of my mind. It's hard.
I relate to that one a lot, especially being a musician and knowing that I really want to go out there and perform songs live and give it my all, you know, like put everything I have into it. I can't do what I did when I was 20.
Right.
You know, I can't be jumping all over the place, and
No.
I got knees and feet that just aren't going to have that anymore.
Right.
But so I start to race time in my mind. I'm starting to hurry up. And I just realized it doesn't matter.
No.
Because you're still going to, and you still are, living that
Right.
dream. You're able to do it.
Right.
And the now is what's important.
Right.
It's the right now. And I'll tell you, most civilizations are living in the now.
Right.
They're working towards the future, but they are focused on the now. That really, in all time, is what is of the most importance. We're supposed to be absorbing
Yes.
the now, looking for
Absolutely.
the signs and the directions and the emotions now.
That's really hard to do. It is. I was thinking about this, like velociraptoring in my own mind one day when I was working, and I was thinking about how much we do need time, because it's the only way that I would know what time to go and visit the dogs that I need to visit in the midday. If people just left for work whenever and I just showed up whenever, that wouldn't work. So we need this kind of system.
Yeah.
But then there's also the flip side of, I worry all day about how I'm going to get everything done. Am I going to get to this sit on time? Am I going to do this reading on time? And if I would, I always get it done.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm stressing about.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do this. I think if we just sat back and said, whatever's going to happen in this day is going to happen, and don't let time constrain you, that we would all be a little bit happier, I think.
Yeah, it's like even when you look
though.
at science and religion and how everybody's, there's arguments and debates on different issues, but a big one of it is time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does religion's timeline line up, and then how does science timeline line up? So there's always this conflict, and sometimes I feel like, instead of arguing over how old it is, or let's just celebrate that it is,
right,
and move on,
right,
and start using what it really is here for, what we're really here for.
Time is infinite.
It is infinite. It's going to go on forever.
We act like it's not.
Right. We think there's some big end coming.
Right.
It's not.
No.
There's no big end coming.
No.
Actually, there's new beginnings.
Absolutely.
So
it's
not end. But so yes, I am definitely a believer in that time is more for us, because we've created this thing. It's an illusion.
Right.
If we didn't create a clock, then there would be no illusion.
Absolutely.
It would just be, we're in the now, and we're working towards the tomorrow.
Right.
But I don't think there's a lot of dwelling on the past, and that in itself, in the topic of time, can take up a big part of your mind. We guilt ourselves about things, and worry that something we did in the past will affect the future, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but what's really still important is you have the now to change and to do things different, to try to make that outcome in the future different.
That's absolutely right. And one of the things through the spiritual awakening that we both have worked on is to try and live in the present. And it is hard. And the other day I finally got to a point, I caught myself living in the present, like about a concern. And I was like, yes, I didn't worry about this until we got here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why worry about it? You're never going to really touch on exactly what it is anyways. So why waste your time worrying about it, right? I'm also one of those people that I'll be like, man, remember that time in 1987 that I told that person? Why do I do that? There's a lot of us that do that too. That's wasting our time as well. It's living in the past.
It's weird.
Yeah.
The whole construction of it, even like names, the fact that we have names. We base everything off a name and time.
And money.
And money. It's weird.
What would it be like to live on a planet that had none of those? It would be really interesting.
It would be a very friendly place because, I mean, not saying everybody's saying hello, but it's really not necessary to know someone's name. It's customary to not have a name, so it's just like hello.
And life always finds a way, so it's like they just, however they do it, they have a way of making it work. And
they see deeper. They recognize by your energy and your spirit. They don't need a name.
Right. Exactly.
So, and we have that ability too if we trained ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To do that. Yeah. But and if you are seeing a stranger on the street, what's the purpose of knowing their name anyways?
Right.
You're just going to say hello because you don't know their name.
Right. Exactly. Makes sense.
But
yeah.
Well, so then now we've talked about this part, okay, the man-made part of clocks and time and this illusion. Do you want to talk about deja vu, or? I
think we should talk about simultaneous time.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
But hold on, because I did want to say that with this part, the time as an illusion, 83% of the people that took the poll on our page do believe that time is an illusion or deeper than what us humans believe it to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So then I asked about simultaneous time.
This is a great one.
This is heavy.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm probably just going to sit here and be like, but for me, it makes sense, and then it doesn't, and then it makes sense, and then it doesn't. So anyways, 56% of the people that took the poll do believe that, or they do know what simultaneous time is. Okay. And 88% of those said maybe it could be real.
Okay.
So basically, simultaneous obviously means existing or occurring at the same time. Would you like to explain a little bit more? I have something I could read.
Do you have some sort of definition? I don't know if there's really a definition.
There isn't a definition, but there really wasn't anything that I could find on like a definition of simultaneous time, because it's a theory.
Yes, it is a theory.
So, yeah. Where to begin with it?
It's basically, in essence, that everything is repeating itself all at once.
Time is unreal,
Yeah, time itself is not real.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is happening all at once. So we've mentioned a couple times about books by Dolores Cannon that we've read, and one of them that we were listening to or reading was her work with Nostradamus through a past regression hypnotherapy session with a client. This person contacts or finds out that they were a student of Nostradamus in France in the 15th century or the 17th. I don't remember.
Not sure.
Whenever he lived.
Yeah.
And they make contact with Nostradamus, which this is abnormal, but the client says during the session at one point, he would like to speak to you himself. And so Dolores says, well, this is unusual in all of my work. I've never had somebody from a different period or on the other side want to talk directly to me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So he made it very clear in this discussion with her about he was not talking to her as a spirit from the other side or another dimension. He was actually talking to her in real life, in real time, in the 15th century.
Mm-hmm. That
time is simultaneous.
Yeah.
That all time is simultaneous.
This is where I was like, what?
So there's an example given on this that might be able to break this down for somebody. I like to call it dummies
the dummies
Concepts for
version,
Dummies, because I need this. I need analogies to kind of wrap my head around things. So let's say you live in the United States and you have a friend that lives in England, and you want to make a phone call, which is how many hours away? Are we 10 hours?
Something like that. I should know this.
12 hours away.
Something,
okay,
yeah.
so there's a time difference according to our invention and concept. There's a time difference. However, you pick up that phone and you speak, and it's real time.
It's real time.
So there is a time difference, which means there technically is a past and a future just in our concept.
Yeah.
But simultaneous time is happening. Right. So another explanation that I could give that might help people understand this is like Einstein's theory of relativity, that you could bend time. And if you've ever seen a graph of it, it's like if you could imagine space having all these, horizontal, vertical lines, and Earth's weight sits in those lines and bends it.
Right.
It bends that space and time. So if you could take that and fold it together like a piece of paper, then they're right there.
Right.
Happening next to each other. Is it simultaneously happening right here in front of our eyes? No. It's a different dimensional thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same dimension, essentially. It's not like a fourth or fifth dimension. But, yeah, it's a very broad concept that goes a lot with it. But I'll tell you what, anything's possible in this universe.
It really is. And it kind of makes sense. It's like there's so many questions that we really can't answer, like what came first, the chicken or the egg. In simultaneous time, they happen at the same time.
They just are.
Right. I just want to say to our listeners that Dolores Cannon did say that this is a topic that there is no way humans could fully understand. Mm-hmm. So if you don't grasp this concept, please know that you're not alone. I am definitely one of those people myself that has a hard time with this.
Right.
Because also, like, the way that I look at it, and something that made me think a little bit deeper that maybe this is real, is that our life is happening, everything's happening at once, is basically what simultaneous time is saying. Mm-hmm. So you're born and what's happening now and you're dying is all happening at the same time.
Yes.
So then I started going deeper on that once I understood that part of the concept and thought, okay, so then today we could be reliving today. Mm-hmm. This isn't actually today.
No.
But why are we here today? Why did we pick this day right now to focus on? Do you know what I mean? It's so difficult to understand. But then, like, there's times when I feel like this day, I've done this day already. Mm-hmm. And I think, am I getting a do-over? That's what I've been thinking. Am I getting a do-over? No, I'm not getting a do-over. I have lived this day before. I'm reliving it again for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's like something in it that maybe I had to learn, or I don't know what it is. But that's a part of the way that I've kind of tried to grasp this. The one about that you were talking about, the planet and how everybody is doing the same thing, or doing, all the same time. Right. We just make it different. But that's a way that has helped me try and understand this concept a little bit better. And Jim Carrey is somebody that talks about this often, and people are like, he's nuts, he's crazy. And you know what? I was one of them. The first time that I heard it, I was like... But then
the more I listened to what he said, I was like, no, he's not.
We don't know.
Right.
We have no clue. Because I'll tell you for certain that there are things out there that most people know absolutely nothing about. Most people go about their day just going with what's going on around them. They don't think about what else is out there, what's coming next. These are the types of things that if you sit down and you actually think and read about, it could blow your mind. It really could.
Some of it's just too deep for people, but that's the idea here, is that you guys, we're here for much more reason than just getting up, going to work, and eating and doing it all over again, you know, and paying bills. It's much deeper than that. And we all instinctively have this inside, and we know we just have to tap into it. And once you that's essentially kind of the awakening that is you sort of realize it's a much bigger picture going on here than what we're taught in our little science books and laboratories. I mean, we're headed in the right direction, but we're not. No, we're nowhere near like other civilizations. And look at like even the way that art imitates life, right?
Yeah.
And that, or life imitates art, whatever. But take Star Wars, for instance, and you've got like warp speed.
Right.
Isn't that essentially time traveling? Because you're moving so fast. But again, that's within space. So that's not on our planet.
No.
But I would believe in that there is time travel. I believe that people can, spirits can pop in.
Yeah.
It's something more than popping in. I think it might be a little bit deeper than that.
Right.
But I think the government probably is aware of it and kind of trying to research it and figure it out. But and that would also explain maybe why some of the instances when we've seen or videoed certain UFOs or craft we can't explain, how they can just be here 1 second and vanish
and
the
gone.
next.
Yeah. I do want to talk about time travel, but I want to talk about this a little bit more because when I put the simultaneous time questions up, a friend of mine checked that she didn't know what simultaneous time was. So I sent her this video that had been sent to me by a friend called Time is a Useful Illusion by Jesse Elder. I sent this to her. This is something cool to look up on Facebook. If you want to see more, you can also message me and I can send this to you, but this is a good explanation. So I sent that to her and this is what she got back, what I got back from her. That was an interesting concept. I guess throughout the video, I was like, I get it. And then other parts, I'm like, well, is your thought of the future really your future's memory if you don't follow through? Very interesting. Now my boyfriend and I are philosophy-chattering. And I love that because that's exactly what we want you guys to do. Sit here and go, whoa. And then when you're done, philosophy-chat about it.
Think deeper because as soon as the globe can start to do this, the energy of the planet will change. Everything will change, but it's going to take everybody to start doing it. Yeah. The thinking, there's so much more to the energy concept that's under this umbrella of this topic. I mean, it's all intertwined.
Right, it really is.
And interwoven.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, I think the energy, if all of mankind could start to focus on that, whether that's possible because of the existence of religion and politics and money, I don't know. But all I know is we do it, you will see the world change faster than you could imagine, than any of us could imagine.
So let's talk about time travel.
Let's talk about it.
The people that took our poll, 74% believe that it is possible.
Yeah.
I'm definitely one of those. I know you are too.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and I found this interesting article on physics.org. Traveling forward in time is surprisingly easy. Einstein's special theory of relativity, developed in 1905, shows that time passes at different rates for people who are moving relative to one another.
Yep.
That we were talking about that earlier.
Right.
Although the effects only become large when you get close to the speed of light. If one were to leave Earth in a spacecraft traveling at an appreciable fraction of light speed, turn around and come back, only a few years might have passed on board, but many years could have gone by on Earth. Right. This is known as twins paradox, since a traveler's undertaking such a journey would return to find himself much younger than his twin.
Right.
There's only one problem from anyone wishing to get a glimpse of the future: getting back. It would mean traveling faster than light, and that's not possible. But that's just their theory on it. Now, here's another theory that I have on it, is that we haven't really talked about this on the show yet, but when we get into like dreams and things like that, we feel that at night you go and kind of plan out what may be coming next in your life in the spirit world, just to be brief about that. Okay. Right. So what if that is true, but you're like, I want to go back to 1985 when this happened with my mother. You're time traveling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're moving through time.
Yeah. So I believe it.
Well, and another kind of brief, maybe subtopic on that is that take, for instance, like I'll use myself as an example. I got divorced 7 or 8 years ago and then remarried to you and had a child in my first marriage. What if I never got divorced?
Right.
What that alternate plan in my life still goes on somewhere.
That's a trippy concept.
So there's always an alternate to what you chose.
An alternate universe.
Yes. It's all parallel universes
Mm-hmm.
is what it's considered, because this all falls under the same concept of simultaneous time and parallel universes, meaning that there are different alternates happening to my life than what I am chose in my own present consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's perception. It's what I chose.
Perception is the key.
Perception has a lot to do with time.
It does.
How do we perceive it? Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? Is it moving in our favor? Is it moving against us?
Right.
So it's very deep, and it can confuse. I mean, it was hard for me. It wasn't hard for me to wrap my head around so much. I just felt like I already knew.
Really?
Yeah. I just as soon as I started hearing it, I was like, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think you started explaining it to me first, and then I was like, I don't get this. So we listened to Dolores Cannon. You had already listened to it, and the way that she explains it and the questions that she answers, it does make it a little bit more understandable. But it really is so deep. It is.
It is.
So talking about deja vu now.
Yeah.
I asked our listeners who's experienced deja vu, and 100% of them said that they have experienced deja vu.
Yep.
So, what is deja vu? It's a feeling of already having experienced the present situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
coincident or not?
Right. What causes that? Like, we don't really know. We really don't.
No.
There's theories. There are ones that they believe are triggered by epilepsy or some form of, something like that. And they call that pathological deja vu. And then there's non-pathical deja vu, which is when healthy people have it. But there have been studies that have shown that when you're more stressed or things like that, that people experience deja vu more regularly. I will say that since I have gone through this spiritual awakening, I don't know about you, but I experienced deja vu more than I did at other points in my life. I also experience more where I feel like, I've told you this, I'm driving and I know I've passed this point before, and I'm like, I passed this.
But do they always feel like deja vu to you, or does it sometimes just feel like a psychic
I don't even know what that
message?
That one, I have no clue what that is, because it'll happen one right after the other, that I'll be like, I'll pass a shopping center and I'll drive for a couple minutes, and then I'll pass that shopping center again. And I'm like, I passed that. I don't know what it means. But it could be a part of deja vu. I don't know.
Deja vu always has this distinct
feeling.
Yep. And it's weird because it's not a feeling. It's not your body.
No.
It's your mind.
Yeah.
But it's a feeling, and we say it or explain it as a feeling. But what it is, it's a memory.
Right.
It's familiar.
Right.
And so, again, it doesn't surprise me that 100% of those people said that. I think if you went around the world and asked anybody that was old enough to articulate how they experienced it, almost everybody would say yes.
Yeah.
That is a reason. They're trying to tell us, that we can't really speak to you or come down from the clouds and show up like this because we'll freak everybody out. But this is a way we're trying to speak to you.
Well, I asked our listeners what they believe deja vu could be. So I'm going to read a few of these, okay?
Cool.
Krista said, I have always felt that it's a little reminder of the trip we planned and that we are on the right path. I have also entertained the idea we are in a moment that we have already lived.
I liked her response.
Yeah.
she was right on the right track on that one.
My personal belief, I agree with that. I've always felt that it means we're on the right path. When I have it, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
So, and then let's see. Nicole said, I used to feel it was a way to know you were going in the right direction, like reassurance. But I cannot remember when the last time I felt deja vu. I hope I'm following the path I laid out for me before I was born.
Right.
I think, like, I don't even know. I should start writing it down, like how often I have deja vu. But, I mean, I don't think it happens that often. For most people.
No, not for me.
Like, I don't know, a couple times a year for
I don't
most
really,
people.
I've never noticed even correlating stress to it, honestly.
I haven't either.
I've never realized or had any kind of idea about that. But.
No. This one was cool. Melissa said, I had a few deja vus when I was younger that were dreams that came true. So that was deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh. And then Lexi said, I think it's a memory from a different dimension or another life. And then Samantha said, not me, Samantha, different one. I always felt it was something I must have dreamed of at some time, not coming true in real life.
Right.
I know it always freaks me out trying to figure out how it could possibly be identical scenarios.
Right.
Only difference is second time I'm going through it, I'm constantly saying, wait a minute, this has already happened just like this.
Right.
That is exactly what deja vu feels like.
Right.
And it's a trip because you're like, what's going to happen next? Because
right.
I've been here. I feel this. I know this.
Yes.
And so you are trying to figure out what's going to happen next instead of like just going with it. At least that's what I do. I'm like,
right. Well, one of the interesting things for me, and this is based on my beliefs, but and this is also interesting, that souls have age.
Yes.
So how they determine without using time, again, there on the other side or outside of this dimension, how they determine time in that sense, how old you are.
Right.
At least the way that it was explained to me, like through your mom,
right, is
that, you know, they kind of use it in terms of young, adolescent, old. They don't really say this many years or eons or whatever. Mm-hmm. But my belief is that we are all souls on a journey. We are energy that is a spirit. It's a soul. It doesn't ever die.
Right.
You're going to continue on after this life to many lives.
Yep.
That you have to learn. So that's just one small thing. But my point is that so before you come here, you have this soul family, all these people that you're connected to in this life for a reason. Mm-hmm. And you make this plan. And so you know all this stuff in advance.
Right.
You've worked it out. You know it in advance. There are some things that people can do to back out of their agreement, like suicide, for example. Mm-hmm. But so that's where I connect the deja vu.
Yeah.
Because I go, I already determined all this. So, of course, I'm seeing something that's familiar.
Right.
I picked this.
Right.
And whatever we don't learn in this life with these soul family, we will go into another sort of, if you want to call it, play or game that we go at it again.
Yeah.
And we all work together again until we individually are getting it right for ourselves.
I think reincarnation should probably be our next
probably
show, because that's kind of what you're getting into, and we haven't touched on it yet. But yes, it is all the perception of time comes into play with all of that. It really does.
Yeah.
And then we talk about like predicting time. We've talked about how predicting time works for me.
Yeah.
And that has been something that we have talked with my mom a lot about. Now I think it's easier for us because we've been in this spiritual awakening process for like a little over a year and a half.
Right.
And so it's getting easier and we're understanding it more. But at first, my mom explained to us that the reality of today and tomorrow, we have the potential to speed it up and slow it down depending on the decisions that we make.
Yes.
So, for example, if I am supposed to go down a path of, let's say I'm supposed to go to the grocery store today. I'm just going to make this real simple. I'm supposed to go to the grocery store today, right? But I don't go. I then put it off till tomorrow, and I don't go. And then I put it off again. But then I finally do it. You are making your path longer.
Yeah. You're stretching
You're
time.
stretching time.
Yeah.
That's what has kind of blown my mind in all this and made sense. If you follow the path that you're supposed to be on,
right.
Your time kind of speeds up. It
right.
And if you feel like those times in your life, like the last year has flown by. Mm-hmm. It really has. There has been so much that has happened, so much that has kept us busy, so much change in our lives that it has flown by. But then I go back to 2005, the year after my mom died, and I remember thinking, is this year ever going to end? It just seemed to go on and on and on and on. Yeah. And so it comes down to perception, and it comes down to what we do with the time that we're given. Mm-hmm. So for me, I feel that predicting time is practically impossible, although I have done a few. I have been pretty accurate lately.
Yeah.
But mostly with like months that I'll hear what month it'll be. But I think that can change because there has been times that I've predicted time and it's been off by a couple of months. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that happens because whatever it was that I did or whatever, it kept me on that path instead of getting off of it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
I just hope I'm not like philosophy-chattering.
None of this might make sense
to
anybody. Some of it might make sense to somebody, a few people. I don't know, but that's the point. Is if it does make sense to one person, any of this stuff we talk about, you guys, then that's worth it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know that when we started first channeling with your mom, I tried to dive right in and ask all these really heavy, deep questions about the universe, and they wouldn't really share until I started to open, and I had to start to change.
Yes.
And I had to start looking and being willing to see it. And then she started sharing more things with me. But one of the first things she said to just kind of suffice me, I think, was not everything is what it seems.
Right.
And that has kind of echoed between my eardrums.
Yeah.
Ever since. Like, I don't take everything for face value anymore because I realize this isn't the end-all, be-all, and we're not even tapping into a fraction of our capabilities.
The thing is that as humans, we are brought up a certain way and we are taught certain things, and so we look at the surface. If you and I had a child that we raised away from all of this and brought up on our belief system, they would probably think very differently. They would think very differently than most people in society. Right. We just go with what we're taught, and we're just taught the surface. We're not taught what's deeper. But we are taught that people that think on that level, like Jim Carrey, they're crazy. Right. We're not crazy. No. Trust me. I mean, we all have a level of crazy, but this is just, it's deeper. It makes more sense. Yeah. Being put on this earth to live one life for nothing makes no sense to me at all.
And you even look at some of the things on our own earth that we can't see, right? But we believe.
Yes.
So, like, take oxygen. For example. Okay, we can wave our arms through the air and we can feel this kind of resistance a little bit, and a movement. But we believe it's there.
Yeah, we know it's there.
Electricity, okay? Mm-hmm. Even if there wasn't dams and all these things to harness it, it's still there.
It's still there.
Until you build something to harness it, it's there.
Exactly.
So, and then you look at all this scientific research that, you know, especially with space exploration and the information that it's starting to come much faster.
It is.
Quick, like I share with you that story about those two dwarf stars.
Oh, yes.
That are rotating around each other. This is about 7,800 light years away from us. Mm-hmm. These two dormant stars are rotating around each other at about 6.9 minutes that's how often, how fast. We would never.
No.
That doesn't happen in our dimension, our kind of world. Right. So look at that. That's totally unheard of and now we're seeing these things. So why is it so hard to believe until we see it?
Right, exactly.
That it's possible.
Exactly.
Anything is possible, you guys. It's perception.
It really is.
It's all perception.
If you open your mind a little bit to this kind of stuff, it opens your mind to different things. It just makes you realize that this one topic, this topic of time, it opens your mind about so many other things. The whole spiritual awakening has really taught me that don't look at the surface. Mm-mm. You have to look deeper. There is so much more out there that we know absolutely nothing about. And you know what? Some of this, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's a figment of our imagination or whatever. Right. But this isn't it.
No.
This isn't it.
Nope.
No.
They want us, meaning the other side and the other spirits, where we came from. The goal is to learn. They want us to ask, to seek, to strive right. for greater knowledge. They don't want us just to be satisfied with get up, go to work,
right?
Pay your bills, eat, go home, go to sleep, do it all over again. It's much more than that.
I kind of feel like the one good way to use the word time as far as from like the spirit world is use the best of your time here in this life, because we'll get into it in the reincarnation, but what you do here with your time on earth in this life will affect what you do in your next life. And
or
so,
what happens to you.
Yes.
Because of karma.
So the time that you are here on this earth, even though you shouldn't base it on, time,
right?
Use it wisely.
Right.
Don't let it waste away. That is something that I tell you all the time, that I feel like I wasted so much of my life right. that now when I think about the time that I do have left, I get frustrated. But again, everything happens for a reason, and we may prolong our paths, but it does happen the way right. that it's supposed to. We can't beat ourselves up over what happened in the past, or
there's a reason that it didn't happen.
Right.
Because you weren't ready for it. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, look how long, I've played music, and I've never made $1 million or become a rock star, but that hasn't stopped me.
Right.
Because that's not really what it's about. I get off on the vibrations mm-hmm. and the energy and the connection within the guys in the group.
Right.
Seeing that interaction and being a part of that, being part of a family mm-hmm. is essentially what's most important for me.
Right.
And it took me some time to get there, because when I was 20, oh my God, I want to just get out there and rock and roll and
get
a huge record deal and be, no, I had to mature, I had to grow, and I had to see the reality. But the reality is you can still manifest those dreams. And as a matter of fact, those dreams are still occurring.
Right.
They're transpiring, but don't worry about what you've wasted.
Right.
Because again, time is illusion. That was the past.
Right.
And you're not going to change it within the present.
No.
And you're not going to change. You can't really control the future,
right.
but you can sure affect it.
Right. As you mature and you grow older, you start to understand things better. Yeah. And like you said, so we beat ourselves up about the past, about, oh man, I wish I would have done this differently. I wish I would have done that. I wish I wouldn't have said that. But the thing is right. that that's the maturity that we were at. And we didn't understand at that point that there was more to it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So you can't beat yourself up over what happened in the past, because you weren't mature enough to know how to handle that situation. Yeah. It doesn't make it right to do certain things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, if you, like for me, I beat myself up all the time that I was 40 years old when I learned that I was a medium. And I don't anymore.
No.
Because I realized that if I would have learned this at 20, I wouldn't have known what to do with it.
Right.
I wouldn't have understand the things that I need to understand. And there are a lot of natural mediums, and that's different. That's not what I'm talking about. I wouldn't have been able to put all of these things together that we're talking about and learn about time and learn about parallel universes and all of that at 20 years old.
No.
I would have been like, what is this? I just go by what the clock and the calendar says. And that there's nothing wrong with that.
It's like you didn't go to college to get to a point to learn about it. You went through life.
Right.
To get to a point to learn about it. Mm-hmm. So don't beat yourself up. And
No.
that goes for anybody. You know if you're being lazy, but you always have now to start over.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't beat yourself up that you didn't yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but try to affect the future by the moment now.
Right.
So, yeah, you weren't ready. You hadn't lived enough life. You hadn't opened your mind up enough.
That's it right
to
there.
be ready and willing to receive this information, because you know what? It's heavy.
It is.
And our minds are not nearly as developed as other dimensions and the other side of where our souls started from.
No.
And you'll return and you'll laugh about all that and be like, ha, you know.
Yeah.
But you got to learn there too.
Yep.
You know, when you go to learn there, when you're there learning, you're learning how you're going to better affect the world here.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And while I'm here, it's almost like I'm trying to learn about there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's a weird.
It's really weird.
Oxymoron. I don't know if that's an oxymoron, but a weird thing.
Right.
Like I've now focused my energy on learning mainly about that there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there, I was learning about here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it can. And I know that there's probably people that are listening right now and they have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is 10 years from now, think about it again.
Oh,
because it will mean something different to you. Not saying that you'll understand it fully or you'll agree with it more, but I think it'll make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever stop learning and growing. None of us are ever going to know for sure how this works and all the ins and outs of it. It's
not here.
Not here. It's too much for our human brains to process.
Right. But you will learn.
Yeah,
eventually.
Absolutely.
When you're not here anymore, you'll know all that, you know. But yeah, it is a heavy concept, so don't feel like you have to understand it completely.
You can't. And Dolores said that. She said it's impossible.
No, there's
With
not
our
enough
brain,
words
it's
in our
impossible.
human language to even do that.
Yeah.
So to make everybody fully understand. So by throwing some silly analogies, maybe it'll help wrap your head around a little bit of it, you know, because it's like fingers when you look at like photographs of or diagrams of the universe and how they almost look like a nervous system.
Yes, they do.
And you look at our body and how everything branches off in our nervous system. It's the same concept.
It is.
We just can't see it.
Yeah.
But it's all interconnected. It's wild.
It really is.
But it makes me feel like this life is much more of like a journey than I ever really thought it was.
Yes.
I kind of looked at it as more of like a burden for a long time.
Right. I agree.
And it's not.
No.
And the moment you stop thinking that, you're starting to open your mind.
It makes you appreciate life more, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I really do. But
appreciate the time you have here and to make the best of it and to do what you can with it and not dwell on the past and not the future as well.
No, because this isn't the only life, I believe, that you're going to get to experience and learn from. So
no, and I don't believe that this moment that we're living right now is the last time that we'll live it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just do your best.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, here we are.
I can't believe that. I thought there's no way we're going to be able to talk for an hour about time, but look at us go.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those philosophy-chatter topics that you really can.
It is, yeah. So,
do you want to give a little pluggy plug?
Yes, absolutely. So, if you don't follow us on social media already, we have a Facebook and an Instagram that you can find us at Spiritual Joneses. And then on Twitter, we are at Spiritual Jones. And if you'd like to email us anything, comments, questions, music, show ideas, whatever that may be.
Please.
Yeah, we love those. spiritualjoneses@gmail.com. And then for my readings, if you would like to talk to me more or get a reading, you can visit my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
If you like art, I am a painter, an artist, illustrator, and photographer. You can check me out on Facebook. at D Jones Art Collection, and also on Instagram, D Jones Art Collection. And I do have a website up now, djonesartcollection.com. Store isn't there yet, but you can at least see the pieces that I will be selling prints of and have available really soon. So check it out. If you like music, check out Gypsy Brown on Facebook and also Instagram, and gypsybrown.com. Got some good things happening there. We'll be sharing that pretty soon.
Yep.
So
Gypsy Brown with an E.
With an E, thank you. Yes, because people might not understand that concept.
I think there is a Gypsy Brown singer girl too, I want to say, without the E. So,
on Facebook?
I think so.
Yeah,
I saw it once.
It's a girl, but I don't know if she's a singer.
I thought so.
Maybe.
But whatever it is, so just remember the E.
The E. It's a name, not a color.
Exactly.
All right. Well, got anything else?
That's all I have.
All right.
So then we're going to do reincarnation next week. That'll be exciting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Another mind boggler for everybody.
It is, but I think it's one we need to talk about.
Yeah, it'll kind of make a little bit more sense, I think, even with this. I don't know, maybe we should have done it first.
I don't know.
You know what? I don't think there's really a particular order.
Nah.
Because some of this is just so...
Velocichatter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate everybody coming and listening in.
Thanks for listening to us Velocichat.
Yes, and we hope you have a great time.
Yep, and
today.
enjoy your own Velocichatter, hopefully.
But have a great week, and we look forward to next week.
Absolutely.
And until then,
peace and love.